Hello, awesome people of the internet. Today we will be learning how we can use the power of Python to collect data from the web. The process of collecting the data from the web is called web scraping. Now I know you're probably asking right now, why would people web scrape, right? What's the reason for it? And the reason for people doing web scraping and the reason for web scraping is because it is a fast way to collect tons of data all at once. So you can collect what millions of people couldn't collect over the course of, like, let's say 100 years. So let's say as a team of 100 people, okay, working on collecting data to feed a AI program, right? And they have to go online and they have to go out in the field and collect a bunch of data, okay? And this takes a long time. But with web scraping, we can just make a bot, a program that will go out to a web page. It will go out to a web page, and it will collect the data that we want it to collect. So any specific thing. So if we go to CO2 level, right, in the atmosphere, okay, and we go to this, like any website that has this kind of thing, we can then take this data from many different websites and compare to make sure we're getting the proper information. And we can use this to then train robots and train machines to either help, or we can also use this as scientific data. So that's why we use web scraping. So that's why we create and use web scraping. That's why web scraping was made, so we can take huge amounts of data and process it all at once. Okay, and it's a very fast and highly scalable web scraping is with Python. With Beautiful Soup and requests, we can do a lot of things. Okay. Enough talk. Let's code. First, we will import all the modules we need. So for today, we are going to be using Beautiful Soup and requests. Okay. So with Beautiful Soup, you want to make sure you have it installed. So for this, you type in pip3 if you're on Windows or Linux, and pip if you are so pip3 if you're on Mac or Linux, and so pip3 if you're on Mac or Linux, and pip if you're on Windows. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I say pip3 install. And then you're going to want to say BS4, and we're also going to want to, and that's all you're going to have to install unless you have some kind of operating system that's already and having requests installed, because I'm pretty sure requests comes with Python. Okay, now that we have the requirements, we may now start setting up some variables. Okay, so Beautiful Soup and requests. Okay. So Beautiful Soup and requests, basically what they do is requests will go to the internet, and it will communicate with websites and web pages, and Beautiful Soup will process the inner HTML of that web page. Beautiful Soup does a lot more than just that, but that's what we'll be using it for. Okay, here we go. You ready for this? First, okay, awesome. Now that we have imported all modules, we can start having fun. Okay, so since we're gonna have tons of fun doing this, first off, let's make some variables. Okay, so this is the finished code right here. This is what it will look like. So let's run this before we delete it. So this is the website we're going to. This is just a website I made for testing purposes. We got H2 here, and we have a bio section here, and we're going to take the data from this H2 and the data from this bio and use it together. Okay, so let's run the program. That's not the one we wanted, sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the name of the folder is example, or the file, I mean. So I'm going to say example.py, and we run it, and we get back what we want. So it says the person is a web developer, and the web developer's bio is also and then it says web developer. Okay, person is a web developer, and then we get a bio, and that's what we wanted. I mean, if we go back here, if you look at the code, that's what we're saying. We're saying that we're going to take the person, which is going to be the web developer, right? And we are basically putting this into a table and storing it into a list. This is what this is. It's a list. And we're storing all of this, and then we're putting in some custom text to make it more understandable, and so the reader can understand what this text is. So let's clear this, and let's start making it from scratch. Okay. So we're gonna erase all of this right here, and we're gonna keep these, and we're gonna go over them right now. So what this is it sets up this sets up page URL. So basically, like, for instance, if we go here, this is a URL, right? We probably already know this, but this is a URL, and we can navigate throughout the page. So if we go to the About section, right, we can navigate throughout the page with the URL. And that's what happens when you click these links, is it basically just puts in the URL. It's pretty cool. But for us, what we're going to be doing is we are putting in the URL in a program. And so this will just this is basically just setting up a variable that will hold a website URL. Okay, so let's set up a user agent. This is the user agent setup. So basically, headers is the HTTP. It's one of the HTTP drivers in websites for web browsers, and we're just making a dictionary. And this is basically saying that we're only going to be putting in the user agent. That's all we're asking for. That's all we're giving the website's information about. And to find your user agent, you're going to go to My User Agent. Just like that. You just type that in on your web browser, and it will tell you what your user agent is. It's different on Firefox, Chrome, and if you're an old school boy, you might use some kind of Microsoft stuff, or whatever else you use. So then we're going to connect to the website. So this is in a page, okay? This is setting up a variable that basically inits so this is going to go to the website, and it's going to give a handshake. It's going to be like, hello, and it's going to pass in the URL. So this passes in the URL that we want. So this is the URL of the website. And then it tells the website that we are a actual person, and that's what this is doing. And it's showing the website our user agent. And then we go in here, and we actually, this is what's taking all of the HTML from the website, okay? So this is putting all the HTML in this website right here, and it's just putting it into one big variable. So if you want to see this, we can actually print soup right here, and if we go in here and run the program again, now we get all of the HTML inside the web page. And so this is a very good example of how it works and what the variable is containing. And this is actually how it all works. Basically, in a way, we're just downloading all of the HTML in the website, right? And then we are putting it into this variable, okay? And then from that variable, we can take certain data. So for instance, we could only take this label, right? Or we could only take this div right here, okay? And that's how basically it works. We download it, and then we manipulate it and take only what we want. So if we want to only take, let's say this right here, like we did before, Okay, what we're gonna have to say is we're gonna make a variable, and we're just gonna call it posin. Okay, I'm gonna set this equal to soup dot find all. Okay, so there's many different ways of giving it what you want to find, and as you can see, here's a bunch of dots you can use. So basically, these are like functions, and so we can use dot find next, find sibling, and find just what find will only take a specific thing. So if we only want it to find, like it won't. It's kind of aired in a way. It doesn't really do what I want it to do very well, because most websites they use classes, and unless you're going to use only IDs, and unless there's only IDs in the website, it's not really going to be that good of a method. So for instance, like right here, this is an ID, okay, and it has the value of me, right, and this is what we'll be scraping right here. But we are going to use this in a different way. We're going to say, instead of saying find, right, we're going to say find all, and then we're going to pass in what we're going to be, so what tag we're looking at, and this is a H2. So since we have an H2, we're going to say that we're looking at all H2s, and we want to take only an H2 with an ID equal to, that's basically, this is saying an ID that is equal to an ID that contains me, right? And so now we can, if we print posin now, we will get only this. So if we print this, we'll only get this right here. So let's try it. Boom. We only grabbed this. None of this, we just grabbed this. Okay? So now we can specify that we don't want to, because we don't really want to be using the data like HTML. We want only the string inside of it, right? So we want to say for H2, so we're grabbing this H2 right here, okay, this H2 tag, and I want to say in posin, which is the variable that we set that contains H2. We are going to set a variable. So let's make posin value, and we're going to make this equal to the H2 tag, but only the inner text of that tag. Okay, so once we do this, then we should get no errors. Yep. So now we're going to print the posin value, and if we print this, we get only the string inside of that HTML tag. So that's how we grab only strings in find all elements. Now, if we were only grabbing, for instance, if we were using only find, then it would be a lot more simple. We would just say dot string, right, or dot get underscore text, and then they'll be done, right? But since we're working with a element that's looking through the entire web page for anything with this, it's gonna only, we have to use this method right here. And then we're gonna make a very useful thing called a list. And we're gonna make it called table, and we're gonna make it equal to a empty list. Okay, and so in here we're gonna say table dot append. Okay, and we're gonna make sure we specify table 1, because sometimes Python gets mixed up because they already have integrated tables. Okay, and then we can say table 1. Okay, now that we pass this in here, we are going to only put in what is inside. So basically, now that we put this table 1 specified, we specify that it's table 1. So we're appending our posin value variable, so which only contains this, right? We're passing in the string basically that to this table. So if we print this table right now, okay, we will get a value of empty brackets. So like, yeah, see there's an empty brackets right there, and but now if we print it down here, after we just did all that processing, now we get that data back through it. See, now we can see that it contains what we just appended to it. Appending is basically like you put, like, it's like when you put a piece of tape on a wall, right? You are putting the tape on the wall and you can take it off at any time you want, but for now you are putting it on there and you can use that tape later. So now that we have our web developer name, we're going to want to set that. We don't want to just only use that because that's not very helpful. So we're going to make it so that we can also grab the person's bio. So I'm going to say person underscore bio. I'm going to set this equal to soup.find underscore all. So what this underscore does is it basically separates two texts to make sure that both the program and the programmer can understand the text easily, okay? So in here, we're going to pass in the p tag, which is, if we go back up here, we can find that our paragraph, where is it? Yeah, so this is about me, right? And this is underneath this, but we're looking for the bio. So we have a p with the ID of bio. Okay, so p tag with the ID of bio, and we're going to make a dictionary, and inside this dictionary, we only want the ID with a with ID that is equal to bio. Here we go. So now we pass in that variable, that string, and we're going to say for the p tag that is in the HTML, so the p tag that is in person .bio. So person in person bio, we're going to set the person bio string. I'm going to set this equal to the p tag, but only the inner text, just like we did up here, but we're grabbing much more content now. Okay, sometimes with your using Visual Studio Code, it will give you a pop-up. You just have to push Control-Z to fix it. Okay, so we're going to say the same thing about the table. I'm going to say table1, and we're going to append our person bio string. We want to make sure we only pass the string in and not this up here. Okay, and now if we print our table, we will get a much different result. Okay, so we'll get both those data. Okay, so we have web developer, and then we'll have all the bio content, and this can be used for much more useful purposes, like this Python script I wrote here. This goes to a website, and it takes all of the stock market data, and then it will process it and give you tell you what the best investment would be for that day, and it will only run at a certain time every day. So for instance, if we go to a website for stock markets right now, here we go. We'll just go to the website URL, which is in, well, I always put these in. Oh yeah, okay, so I put it in a JSON file, which is a it's a very professional way of dealing with data. Like for now, we're just storing this in a plain Python file, this is basically the brains. We don't really want to give the brains a bunch of data to hold because it can make it really slow. So we're going to say that we made a JSON file right here, And this is the URL of the website that we're going to scrape. Okay, but this isn't for the program we're making right now. This is just an example. So this is the URL or the website that we are scraping with my program. So here you can see all these stock market data, but we go here with the Python script, and we basically take only this. We take everything here, and then it compares it for us, and it does this in a matter of seconds. So I think it takes like 5 seconds, exactly 5 seconds, for it to complete. So that is why learning how to do this is super, super useful. So now that we have set up a simple program that can take all this data, we don't want it just to say web developer and then just print it, because it's not very understandable for a user to reading. And if you're selling it to someone, you don't want to just give them this, because they won't really understand what this is, right? So for what we're going to do is we're going to make an F string, and F strings, they take in variables, and they also use custom text. So we're going to say that the person is and then we're going to use this little, I don't really know what that's called, but you use that symbol, and we pass in our person value. Okay, and this is just the string of the h2, and then yeah, that's gonna put in that data, and then for this one, we're going to make this an F string too, and we're going to say that the person data, so the same variable right here, person value. We're going to say the web developer, basically. In the web developer has a bio of, and then you want to pass in the variable that we made that will hold all the bio text, right? So we're going to say person, and then we're going to say the person bio string right here, and this is going to blow your mind. So what we're going to go is we're going to go run the script, and we want to make sure we actually print a table. Okay, and now that we have all of that set up, boom, the person is a web developer, and his bio is right here. So his bio, and then it doesn't have any pause points, right? So it makes it very understandable for the user or the person that you're selling this to understand what it is, because only the developer really understands what they're grabbing, right? So you want to make sure that the person that's getting this in return, or you're selling it to, or maybe you're making it for a friend, or just for a company, or you're working for someone, you want to make sure that they can clearly understand where your data is coming from. So we're right back where we started off. We're right back with a program that I showed you as a demo, and I hope that this video taught you tons about web scraping and Python, and I can't wait to do a number 2. So this was an introduction to web scraping with Python with Beautiful Soup and requests. We will do a more advanced tutorial later where we can actually grab links, and we can compare data, and we can store it into JSON files, and we can use JSON files as a control panel for actual Python scripts. So we won't have to go in here every time and change the URL. We can just simply put in the URL that we want it to scrape, and it will go there and scrape it. And then you can also, as you can see, you can specify what time you want it to run, and we'll be making this exact script in a later video. So I hope that this was super useful, and I hope that you learned tons, and I hope it wasn't just, you didn't just hear me rambling on forever. So thank you so much for spending your time learning, and peace out.